This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
Hey, it's Nick and it's Eric. This is Lemon's Car Spotting. This is where you go onto Instagram, you tag your photos with Lemon's Car Spotting, and we review them on this show. And there are awards. The hooptiest car of the week gets an award, and the Lemons build, which is the car we want to actually see on a Lemons racetrack, that gets an award too.
All right. And of course, one of us will pick each of those, and we have our patented way of doing that, which is thusly. This will be the Lemons build. This will be the hooptiest build. Tell me when to stop, Nick.
Stop. Oh, no.
That one there. You have the Lemons build. There we go.
All right. That happened the other week. Somehow there was a tie in our flawless system, and we had no idea what to do. All right. Let's get into it. Okie dokie. Starting off with a Honda Prelude. Boy, I couldn't tell you what generation Prelude this is. I'm sure in the comments you will let us know exactly what flavor it is. But these are cool. I like these. I like boxy cars in general. And so in a lot of ways, I prefer this to the wedgier one that came after it.
Yeah. This is like a late 80s, I think. The same one that Tony Swan and Chubba Chetta from Car and Driver raced in Lemons for many years.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's not really an endorsement of the car. But,
I think for Lemons racers that race in the Midwest region, this car is triggering PTSD. Yeah. But that's not really the car's fault. Let's face it.
There was a trim of these that had rear wheel steer. Also,
that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one of those parked by my house, and every once in a while, if he's got it parked in such a way that the wheels are cranked all the way over, you can actually see the slight change in angle on the rear wheels. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty trick car.
Yeah, and of course, that's Honda 30 years ago. Imagine if Mercedes had designed such a system and what that would look like today. We'll just leave that image in your head.
Yep.
All right, moving on. What the?
Oh, man.
Oh, it's a DAF.
Yeah.
I know very little about DAFs. It's a Dutch car. I feel like in modern times, they're maybe more known for big, giant commercial trucks. I think they had some kind of belt drive CVT, which had the claim to fame of being able to go just as fast in backwards as it could in forwards, which then spawned an entire racing series in that part of the world of backwards DAF racing. So, like I say, don't know too much about DAFs, but that's about the extent of it.
Yep. Spank famously brought a DAF. It was like a DAF 55, as though any of that actually matters, knowing what model numbers they are. But
right.
Brought one to Button Willow. It was on 135 section with 12-inch tires, just these tiny little things. It looked absolutely terrifying on the racetrack.
Speaking of model numbers, though, is it not true that they had one that was called the Daffodil?
Yeah, they did. And I can't.
I mean, that's inspired branding on their part, I must say.
Yeah. That's very, very tuned into the cross English channel market. Of the 12 of those that they sold in the United Kingdom.
Right. Exactly. Did they ever sell them here? I mean, I've seen them here, which is to say them being like two of them, one of being the one that Spank brought. But how else would they have gotten here if they didn't sell them here?
I feel like they did. And what's always mystifying to me is how in 1961 you would have decided that you needed a DAF, and further, where the hell would you have gotten one?
Yeah, I mean, did they have a dealer network? I have no idea. Although I will say, as the by proxy owner of a car that falls into the, oh my God, they sold that in the United States category, which of course is my mom's P4 Rover. I do appreciate that time where you could buy something totally weird and maybe at the time not know that it was totally weird,
right?
Because there were so many of those kinds of cars that were out there. And then, not long after that, it became totally weird.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If you know how DAFs were sold in America, please tell us in the comments.
Yeah,
Mike
give us-
Harrell, because you're the only person who probably knows the answer to that.
Oh God, he's got a Volvo badged DAF, but I know for a fact, it's a captive import sold by Volvo but built by DAF. I mean, that was something the world obviously needed. But I know for a fact that he imported that car. It was not sold here originally. So
Right.
Yes, we need to know the DAF history in the United States, clearly. All right. Moving on. Very conventional. Got ourselves an MGB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, what year is this? It's got chrome bumpers, but it's got the black grille. So that makes it what, a 73?
Yeah. Two or
Something
three,
along those
something in that
lines.
ballpark.
Couple of things to note: triple windshield wipers, super cool on its own, and actually a creation out of necessity when you have a ultra sporty short profile windshield. So that's cool. And if you're driving a British car, the more electronic accessories you have, the better. I will say. So
That's right. It's in the right color. I'll give them that.
it is the BRG. We've seen several of these in Lemons Racing. They're, by old car standards, they're very good cars. But by Lemons car standards, they're very old cars.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
That pretty much gets it. Yep.
All right. Next up.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Well, this is a theme that we have visited on more than one occasion. Saab is the category of car where if you have one, you have 15 because it's clearly the best car ever made. And then they sit abandoned in your driveway. I will say these look clean, but I will also say that it looks like it's raining, which maybe is creating that illusion.
They're on identical wheels, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. I was looking at Saabs the other day on Craigslist. I can't fathom why I was doing that. And I've always said that if I were to get a Saab, which is a humongous if, I would get a 900. But this week's crop on Craigslist, there were 9,000s of this era. And, manual transmission turbo 9,000. I was thinking, that's pretty cool too. So,
Get down
and again,
that.
yeah. And don't hold your breath for me buying a Saab.
I've got a soft spot for the 9.9. I think it's a slightly better looking version of that, but they're all kind of the same look.
Well, the 99 was either the last of the old Saabs or the first of the new Saabs. It was a real turning point. And I think, 99 and prior, everything is super cool and weird. After that, you're into an era where you can buy a Toyota Corolla and you'd be a moron not to. So it's much harder to justify. Right. Anyway, Saab, rest in peace. And speaking of abandoned, man, this is a post from the Chief Perp himself, Hoobie Graham. Oh God, this car, for those of you who have seen the Ice Cube how we do it video, Ice Cube famously drives one of these around Vegas, and it's got the lustery dark or dark green paint and the Vegas lights reflecting off of it. And Ice Cube at that time was a superstar, and he must be the man because he can do such things with his life. I feel like recreating that whole scene with the Jaguar in Vegas is much less of a prestigious operation in 2021.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I gotta say, we've had a few V12 Jags and Lemons, and they all sound spectacular when they're running, which is not very often. But I mean, there's one in particular that's running the Midwest a bunch. Car runs fine. It just doesn't ever stop. Like the brakes are always a problem for the car. Which is
the
really
irony is that the brakes are something that Jaguar, they famously won Le Mans in the 50s because they were early adopters of disc brakes. And apparently they lost their luster on that one.
Well, they're really easy to work on, especially on the rear axle with the inboard brakes and everything. So.
Oh God, I was talking to Lemon's often employee Armand Bengal about V12s in general, and how, once you get outside of like hypercars, every V12 is Lemon's grade. Like, is there a V12 car that can't be obtained for $500 or won't be questioned by Lemon's judges for being worth $500? I mean, literally, the Jag, the Mercedes, the BMW, bring one, you're not getting any penalty laps. So
I'll add the Triton V10 from Ford as an honorable mention there.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen any of those, so
yeah, I mean, it's just a modular V8 with 2 extra cylinders, right? Should be fine.
just put in a Crown Vic.
Yeah,
everybody wins.
Exactly. Bolt right in. All right. Oh, this looks like not my neck of the woods, and apparently not your neck of the woods, because it's Anchorage, Alaska.
All right. Well, I mean, it's 2 brats in Alaska. I don't know what else you need to say about it. I mean, that's kind of peak Anchorage.
It is. I got to assume that Subarus were popular in Alaska from an early date, and this would seem to support that theory. One of the few places on Earth where you actually can justify all-wheel drive, as opposed to, say, the Bay Area, where everybody drives a 4-wheel drive SUV. It's like, all right. But Alaska seems like a sensible place to drive a Subaru.
I went to Alaska several years ago, and there were a whole bunch of CVCC Honda Civics around, which was super random. I saw like 4 or 5 of them in a week.
Well, you got to figure that in Alaska, they're probably, they don't have the Anchorage Auto Mall that has 40 different dealers. It's probably like there's one guy who has got some kind of car dealer franchise, and whatever brand that guy sells is what everybody gets. That's sort of how I picture it.
I'm guessing the delivery charges, a destination charge on a new car in Alaska is a little steep, so you kind of make the most of it. Although I did see a guy also there with an Audi R8, so I don't know. It was super random.
That guy's the king. Again, if you're driving around in an R8 in the Bay Area, who cares? But if you're in Alaska in an R8, you're the man. Everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Oh God. Speaking of, oh man. Hey, Broad Ripple. I believe that's a neighborhood there in Indianapolis, because one of my buddies from college went to Broad Ripple High School.
Oh, there you go, man.
So what in the heck? I'm going to cheat and read the caption, which says that it's a Volvo TP21s Swedish military. Well, of course, that's the kind of thing you'd find in Indiana.
I'm kind of mystified by this thing. Like, how? Just how? Like, how is that in Indianapolis?
There are a lot of questions. I mean, first of all, what era is this? Because it looks sort of like a 1930s American car on a 1980s American truck chassis. So I'm not really sure what era this would have come from. And then, obviously, how in the world does it wind up in Indiana?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was, well, I mean, it probably belongs to like Marcus Ericsson or somebody who's racing an Indy car now and has a bunch of old Swedish crap,
Yeah. The Venn diagram of people who have been to Indianapolis and the people who know what a Volvo TP21 is might just be Marcus Ericsson.
I think that's right. Yeah. So somebody spotted Marcus Ericsson. Let's just say that.
I will point out that this is from Wheels Scout Indy, and then there's a reply from Indiana Car Spotting, and who says, "I love these," as if it's like, something that you see from time to time, so that there are plural of them.
This is some kind of business to business partnership we're creating through Lemon's Car Spotting.
That's right. The influencer spheres of Wheels, what was it? Wheels Scout Indy and Indiana Car Spotting. They've now created a synergy surrounding Marcus Ericsson's Volvo TP21. All right. Let's see. That's going to be hard to beat for something. All right. Next up, we've got, oh boy. Well, there's a modern Camaro and what looks like a Chevy 2, an early Chevy 2.
Yeah, I would say so. In Overland Park, just outside Kansas City. So
yeah,
there it is. I mean, of all the early 60s compacts, which are kind of good looking cars and
sure,
terrible driving cars, the Chevy 2 seems to be the one that has the least appeal to me. I don't know why.
Well, it's funny. I mean, in some ways, it's the cleanest and most elegant design,
right?
But it's certainly way less interesting than the Dart Valiant and the Falcon Comet. I think that the Falcon Comet and the Dart Valiant had weirder details and are more interesting now. But if you actually look at it from like an aesthetic standpoint, it's actually bad. Whereas the Chevy 2 is very clean and very elegant in its own way. But then, maybe isn't as interesting at the end of the day.
Ironically, the last of the Studebaker Larks is like the most like proportional, should be like kind of nailed the 3-box thing in a clean way that I think nobody else did. Of course, it didn't matter because they were bankrupt like a year later, but
this is true. Well, and I didn't even remember Studebaker when I was listing off my car, so my apologies.
You could throw Rambler in there too if you really want to get wild.
Yeah. All right, next up. Somehow, do you have 10 or 9 cars? Because this is my 10th car, but then I'm showing that there's actually one more on this list. So it's possible that we started on the wrong vehicle. In any case, we will find out. This is a K car. Boy, what to say about the K car that we haven't said a million times. I will say that this particular K car looks like, a New Yorker or one of the more luxurious ones. You can tell, of course, by the Landau top.
That's right.
Yep, it's a K car.
I love the clean, at least unrusty K car on one white wall with the Landau. It's kind of a nice touch to it.
It is. Yeah. It's got good details. All right, so either this is going to be the next car will either be our last one or it'll circle all the way back around to the Prelude because I think either I wrote this down wrong or there are 11 cars in this gallery. Whoa, it's a bonus. Well, it's a Mazda B series truck. It's this is from somebody in Crete. That's exciting.
I was gonna say this looks like
tropical.
Yeah, this looks like a Florida first 48 like evidence photo.
yeah, this is true. The man that goes by Styrofoam was last seen in this white pickup truck.
Yeah, I mean, there's bags of stuff in the back of it that
possibly body parts. Yeah. But it's Crete. So what it more likely is the luxury hotel's maintenance vehicle or something like that.
Yeah, right by the ocean. So it's just had salt spray chipping away at it for, I don't know, 30 years or whatever.
Indeed. All right. Well, that brings to an end our list of either 10 or 11 cars. I don't know how I wound up with 11. It's weird.
I only got 10, so math is hard.
Math is really hard. God, I've got 11 different cars written down. Well, in any case, the hooptiest. That was you. What's the hooptiest?
Oh man. Well, I was leaning towards the Chevy 2 or the DAF, but then this kind of takes the cake. The evidence photo Mazda B series. I mean, I'm sure it runs. I'm sure it runs just fine. But it is a rolling eyesore, which is
it's got that kind of hooptiness that if you were to pull up to meet your girlfriend's parents for the first time in it, it would really drive home the point of what they were getting into.
I always do love the color matched wheels on cars like this, which is to say that they're rust.
Body color and rust.
Yeah.
All right. So for the Lemons build, I really wanted to pick the DAF, or I'm sorry, let me, as I get ahead of myself, I really wanted to pick the Volvo, but I think it's going to be beyond our weight capacity of 4,200 pounds. One would hope.
Yeah.
Bring this. We'd love to see it as a pit vehicle, Marcus Erickson, if you're out there.
That's right.
So I've got to pick. I got to go with the DAF. I know that we've seen a DAF before in the form of Spank's car, but we've never seen the DAF. What did they call this version of the 2CV that had the Quonset hut glued to the back? And it was like the cargo version. Whatever they called that, that's the version of this DAF. And I mean, if you're going to bring a DAF, go all out and bring the special body. And look, it's got a sun visor and everything. I mean, what's not to like? And we'd even allow you to race it in reverse.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe we would do that.
Yeah, I don't know how. Whatever. We'll figure out the details of that later on.
Cross that bridge when we come to it. Until next time, keep tagging your photos. Lemons Car Spotting on Instagram. We'll find it. We'll review it right here on our YouTube channel. And we will see you here next week. Man, look at the DAF. This doesn't say where the photo was taken, but one would have to assume the Netherlands.
Yeah. Amsterdam.